It's so weird when like this UFO disclosure thing comes out. And David Grusch, let's find out who he is and what his credentials were. But he essentially said that they are illegally hiding it from Congress, and they are illegally hiding it from the American people. But they have off-world craft in possession. Air Force veteran has made a bombshell claim that U.S. government has recovered materials that could be proof of UFOs, including an intact craft of non-human origin, but they are keeping it a secret from the public. David Charles Grusch, a veteran and former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office, has blown the whistle on this information, speaking with several news outlets about the crafts.
A lot of people have been urging the U.S. to drop the charges against Julian Assange, and recently even the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, said there is no point in this continued prosecution. So why hasn't the U.S. dropped these charges?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Literally every major press freedom and civil liberties group in the West, often which agree on very little, have united to urge the Biden administration to do so on the grounds it's the gravest threat to press freedom in the West. The history of the U.S. security state, the CIA and the NSA and Homeland Security is very much that if somebody exposes their secrets, even when those secrets are evidence of crimes or other deceit and corruption, as was the case here, they want to punish the person to the fullest extent, to really destroy them, mostly as an example to warn others that if they discover evidence of criminality and are thinking about doing the same thing, their lives will also be destroyed.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to Alien Addicts on this fine and grushy evening, because it's going to be a grushy evening, because let's face it, everybody's talking about that man. Everybody is on that Grusch train. But I did get a thinking about this guy, and I was watching the last video that he was in where he was with the guys, and he was on the Yes Alistair. Was it boys? Was it the Yes Show? Yes Show? What was it? Is it the Yes Show?
Good evening.
Yeah, Yes Theory.
Yes Theory. That's the one. I'd never heard of it before. Is it normal? Is it a UFO thing normally?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. So, I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, this is just so odd. You know, you've got this guy that's potentially blowing the whistle off extraterrestrials, well, non-human craft with non-human bodies, cadavers, whatever, in there. And he's taking them to his house. Not the bodies. Well, maybe. But he's taking a full team out to his house. I'm thinking, this is so odd. But at the same time, when I'm watching it, I'm thinking, this guy is so nice. David Grusch is such a nice man. He's somebody who I want to sit down at a table, eat some corn, eat some chicken, some mashed potatoes, whatever all you Americans have, you know.
Grits.
Oh, that grits. Yeah, that's weird but nice. Yeah, I like that. What is it like? It's like, yeah, it's a white gravy. Is it white gravy that?
I'm in Michigan. I'm up north, so I don't know.
With lumps in. Yeah,
not really. More of a southern thing, to be honest. Yeah.
Lee was all over that. He put it on.
I
everything.
believe
it. But yeah, I'm thinking this guy's so nice. He's so nice, and somebody who's so nice at some point is just gonna fucking explode.
I'm going to be honest with you. I've changed my thoughts on Grusch. I've been watching that new, documentary about him that you sent to me, Ollie. That came out about 5 days ago, and he sounds like a really genuinely good person, like very knowledgeable. And I've changed my ways, my thoughts about Grusch, but I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting. I need that evidence, baby.
Well, yeah. Speaking of waiting, Stevens Cambion should be coming on at some point tonight. He just messaged me early and said, "Man, if a drop," I said, "Absolutely, you drop yourself in." So
we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So, well, no, I think this is great though, because you're going to have a few different opinions there. And we are, people know I love a bit of drama, but we're all adults and we can speak like adults and without having a fucking fight over aliens and disclosure and all that jazz.
Listen, my no evidence is better than your no evidence, okay?
No, it's not. Definitely not better than my no evidence. I sent you evidence the other day.
You did. Very cool picture. I haven't had a chance to throw it in Photoshop yet, but I bet you Stu would probably put me to shame on the Photoshop game.
Okay,
so maybe let's Stu do it.
Interesting thing, how you said it was a speck of dust.
Yeah, it looked like
it's on every single picture.
Oh well.
In different positions, and then the one with my little boy, there's 5 of them in the background. I didn't know that until I looked at it today, and I'm thinking maybe the speck of dust separated. I would put it up. I don't want to show everybody my little boy. My wife may rip my head off.
I originally thought you sent me the other photos just to say, "Hey, no, look at the area around me."
I really took
the picture.
I did.
Oh, okay. But I didn't know there were more spots.
I sent you that to show the area around it. We were just having a conversation about UFOs, and I happened to be in a cornfield. And I don't normally go out to a cornfield. I don't see a lot of them where I am. So I'm like, this is cool, corn. And then a big black cloud came over the corn. I took a picture of the big black cloud because I'd been taking pictures with my little boy. My other boy were playing football, and I sent you those pictures for relevance to show you that one minute it was really nice and bright and sunny. The next minute is a big fucking cloud over a cornfield.
Well, we'll see what Mick West thinks. I'll send it over to Mick.
Just debunk it.
I don't know who Mick West works for. Come on. I sometimes speak to Mick, just every now and again.
Yeah. No, but I guess back to the topic though. Oh yeah, back to the topic of Grusch. I mean, yeah, for me, the jury is still kind of out on him technically. I mean, they're going to do another hearing, but now that Kevin McCarthy has been kind of put out as Speaker of the House, I don't know if that'll have an effect. But maybe they can get that select committee now that they wanted, that Burchett wanted. So if they can do that, maybe we get the skiff. Maybe the story's not over yet.
I think we will, because Burchett was on one of the news channels today. I think it was Fox, not yesterday, and he was having a right ding dong with the presenter, and he was basically saying, this is good for the GOP and it's good for Congress because they're going to get more done now. And it was McCarthy that was one of the people that was blocking the skiff, amongst others. So, because Matt Gaetz is really into the UFO topic, and he's obviously been instrumental in ousting McCarthy, for good or bad or indifferent or whatever, I do think we'll definitely see some more movement. But they supposedly interviewed over 60 witnesses that Grusch has provided.
Really?
Yeah.
Over 60. I knew about the over 30, but I didn't know it was over 60.
Supposedly it's double that now. Over 60. And we're talking like all levels of the Pentagon and private industry. They've hauled folk in and interviewed them behind closed doors. Staffers for likes of Burchett and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And that's why I'm quite keen to speak with Cambion about it, because he's obviously got quite a narrow view of Grusch, which fair enough, that's his view, but I don't see Grusch as being the whistleblower as such. I see him as being the gateway to all the whistleblowers, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's not. He never made himself out to be the guy who was going to blow it all open. He made himself out to be in that original interview with Ross Coulthard as the guy who's pulled together all of the keys to all the doors, and he's going to unlock them and then allow people to sort of speak.
Do you think he's like the guinea pig?
I don't think guinea pig's the right thing. I just think he's the gatekeeper. He's definitely the gatekeeper.
He's like the plug.
Yeah, yeah.
He said in that. He said, "Sorry, go ahead."
On you go.
I was going to say that documentary you sent, Ollie. He says that no one else is doing it. This is from Grusch's words. He says, "I feel like I'm the only one who's going to be able to do this," and that's his true, honest. Well, I felt very, very true, honest what he was saying about that. No one else is going to be doing this. Speaking in Congress.
The problem they've got, at least in the Pentagon side of things, which obviously Grusch has been a part of, is there's a real right wing, a Christian sort of fundamentalist issue going on in the Pentagon. There's people who literally believe, these non-human entities are effectively demons. They're from the devil. They're very religious people, and
We spoke about that last night.
For that very fact, that's where a lot of the holdups have come from. Sadly, rather than being sort of agnostic about the whole thing and just getting the information out there. I mean, I know now. I think Ross Coulthard said he reckons within 12 to 18 months there'll be full disclosure. And I could see that happening. And when I say full disclosure, I don't think we'll ever get the disclosure we all want. But I think the can of worms that is the military-industrial complex and like Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, all these big companies that Boeing and stuff like that, who have got access to potentially these craft, then I think that's the thing that's going to crack open more than anything else. I don't think we're going to have aliens walking on the White House lawn shaking whoever the president is by that time hand or anything like that. But I do think the technology could get blown open. Now, whether it goes down the road of what Greer wants, which is 0 point energy, who knows? I mean,
I will say this that.
Sorry, Karen.
No. If you.
I was just going to say, I don't know if that's the right thing though, because at the end of the day, we are still using technology that started in the 1930s with the Germans. This is Nick's end of things, and like Werner von Braun and the Apollo. I mean, at the end of the day, we put a fuel in a canister, we light it with a match effectively, it blasts out the other end, and the rocket goes up and into orbit. And that's how we get things into space. And if there's technologies out there that could supersede that, why the hell haven't we been using it? Because is it down to the fact that all these companies are making money off of NASA to the tune of billions every single year? Is that why they haven't done it? They know the technology's there and they don't want to. It's a bit like the oil industry. They don't want to let it go because there's too much money to be made off of it. Whereas if they release technology that potentially is like, anti-gravity stuff, and also things going extremely fast that are that G-forces don't matter and things like that, then obviously that opens up the world. I mean, you could literally, I could go over to to New York for lunch because it takes me 20 minutes. You were just complaining today about driving to other part of England, and it's taking you 3 hours there and 3 hours back to where you were going. If you were on an anti-gravity device, it was like seconds to get there and get back. But whether all that stuff's true, I have no idea. But I think that's what's going to get blown open. I think that's what's going to get disclosed. Whether it's what we want to be disclosed is another matter.
The thing is that got me, like, my inspiration for the actual intro that I like when I got back from work today. I thought, because I always like to put like a little bit of a piece together before the intro kicks in. What is it called? A cameo, or whatever? Like, is that what you call it?
It's a stinger.
Pre.
It's a pre-show type stinger.
Yeah, I always like to put something in before the intro actually kicks in. And Lee was saying last night about, we did mention Grusch on the interview we did on Rockfin with Chiller Queen, which I think we're going to put on YouTube, by the way, because it was a real good. And I know some of you can't be bothered to move from this platform, which I respect, but make sure you check the Rockfin out in the description. But we're probably going to put that on all the platforms. Even we'll put it on Rumble as well, as a one-off. He mentioned when Avery brought up David Grusch, that it doesn't end well. I think he said it on Alien Addict for whistleblowers, because look at Julian Assange, and that's exactly why I put that intro together. You know, it's not bad well for him.
I think Assange is a different entity in terms of whistleblowing, because of the nature of how he set everything up with his website and that. They were pushing the buttons of too many governments and pissing too many folk off. So that's why he's been dealt with the same way. I mean, in the same way that what Snowden did really irked the White House, because basically, you know, they'd been naughty and doing all sorts of stuff with the NSA and stuff like that, and he blew it wide open. I think there is a different attitude to whistleblowing though now. That's a lot more sort of moderate, sort of controlled than there was maybe even 5 years ago. So, but Assange is you've got to treat him as a separate entity, because he's annoyed an awful lot of people. I mean, he's going to end up going out a window at some point. That's the only way of putting it, because there's many countries would like to see that guy in the ground, which is sad, because what he's done, I don't think is, you know, it's maybe not everyone's taste or whatever, but I don't think he's wrong. And the stuff that, you know, the stories they've broken and stuff like that. So, I don't know.
I think my point there, like, for me, I'm just wondering if, like, either somebody's, I think it's whatever Grusch is doing, I think he's been allowed to do this for a reason. Like, we've said on this channel for quite some time now, it feels like something's building up. And I genuinely do feel like that. If you'd have asked me that 6 years ago, I'd have laughed about the thought of a disclosure. I mean, Lee's going as far as to say he thinks we're going to get the full Roswell fucking files on a plate.
He said that on Sunday.
Who knows?
I think people are going to be disappointed with Roswell.
Yeah, in all honesty, what Lee forgets to mention is that the files that's going to be released is from Project Blue Book, which is notoriously known for a disinformation campaign. Is going to be a massive disappointment, just like Stu said. I guarantee it. Nothing about it's basically disprove anything extraterrestrial about Roswell. I guarantee it is going to go the exact opposite. People's getting excited, but I guarantee it's going to lead to disappointment.
No, but I get what he's saying, because to get mum and dad, grandma and granddad, to believe in UFOs and extraterrestrials and whatever narrative they want to push, that would be the ideal one to use, be Roswell.
Yeah, I mean, but it's probably the one story that people know more than most, thanks to things like the X-Files and stuff like that. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, there's not a lot of news coverage when it comes to UFOs in England. The amount of people I was speaking to, I won't say normal people, you know, people not into like UFOs. I asked them, what do you think about UFOs? Yeah, just you know, pass it right through them, to be honest with you.
Oh, we're definitely we all exist in a bubble, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
They just
but it's
the man in the street. They don't not interested.
yeah.
What about in America? What's it like over there?
I mean, definitely people talk about it, but I mean, the stigma is still here. I don't think that's really removed very much. I mean, that's why I go back to saying UFO. I don't say UAP anymore because I just think that was like a failed attempt at them trying to remove stigma, and it just didn't really work. But I mean, it's more, but still, people don't know. I mean, you could ask, like I guess for instance, when they had the first congressional hearing, I was at the deli and I was getting some meat, sort of, and I asked the guy, I said, or he said, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "Well, when I go home, I'm gonna watch the congressional hearing." And he goes, "All right," I said, "Congressional hearing on UFOs." And he was like, "What? UFOs? Like, what?" I said, "Yeah, they're doing a hearing. Like, how do you not know that?" And the average person, I still feel like, doesn't really have too much of a clue. Maybe Grusch, I think, made a bit more of an impact than that. And obviously, these Nazca mummies have went everywhere. I mean, there's memes all over the internet. I think
Yeah.
Logan Paul had one. I mean, everybody's had some memes. But that's kind of what's made the biggest impact so far. But the U.S. guys, I always have felt like a lot of other countries, because we've taken such a hold of the subject so much and we promoted it so much, that if it ends up being not true, or that stigma really leaches to it and holds true, I think a lot of other countries are waiting and sitting back and saying, "Hey, if they're wrong, let America look stupid. If they're
Yeah.
right, we'll come in later," kind of a thing.
Yeah. I mean, the French have been pretty open about UFOs. The Mexicans, which I don't know whether it's down to Jaime Maussan or not, but I don't trust that guy, to be honest with you. The Japanese now seem to be opening up their doors to, what's going on. Russia was a little bit more kind of open, but obviously with the war and everything, it's all closed doors there now, worse than it was in the Cold War. But I mean, when you're over in the US, is it C-SPAN that people can watch the Congress stuff on? Is that like,
Yeah, it is. Yep.
or PBS? Do they run it?
C-SPAN. Yeah.
C-SPAN, right?
Yep.
Right. Because when I watch it, obviously I just watch it on YouTube, so it's just whatever channel's running it.
Yeah, but it seems like a lot of the mainstream media, even now in the US, is starting to kind of go back to X-Files music and kind of laughing at it again. It's starting to turn again. And this is one thing that I've been talking about for the last few months, which is I really worry like where the topic is going to go if you have more people like Grusch come out and talk and don't provide anything. I know, Ali, you were mentioning you think he's kind of being let to do what he wants right now. But I think it's mainly because he's not that much of a threat himself, in my opinion. I don't think the DOD, Arrow, Kirkpatrick, I don't really think that they care, because he doesn't have a video he's slapping on the table. He doesn't have 115 slapping on the table. He's got more stories, another ex-military guy that's telling stories. Yeah, the platform is bigger, but where are we, from what is Cambion got, 125, 126 days? We're not any further, unfortunately.
But I think we have to be patient because Congress moves extremely slowly. The wheels of the Congress just grind, and they seem to have been interviewing people behind the scenes. But what you got to remember is, like, it's been 2 years is the lead up time to Grusch doing his interview. From the point where he started to get, together with people and start make waves and connections and get to the point where he did that News Nation interview, that was 2 years. We're only a few months into the next stage. So that's my point with like Stephen, I think, being very impatient. You see, I see Grusch as being the gatekeeper, and he's provided the keys, opened all the doors, and they now need to go and speak to these people and investigate them and dig an awful lot deeper. Every
I
time.
agree with you, Stu. I do
Yeah.
think he is more of a gatekeeper, but I'm just giving you the perspective that I think that the majority of ufology is looking at right now. I still think the jury is out on Grusch. I still think we have an opportunity for that, and for more people to come in. I'm still going to wait. But when you look at Cambion, I mean, people like him have been in the field for so long. I'm not mad at him for being frustrated. They've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting like everybody else, and so I think it makes sense. I don't fault him for it.
No, I don't fault him for it at all. It's his point of view. I think he's been a
Yeah.
little bit hard on him in terms of the mental health side of things.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
He's just a little bit too tough on him with that, and Asperger's autistic spectrum. which I know he's either got a kid or he's involved with kids of that age. I know
He's little boy.
yeah, but I mean, I've also got a 24-year-old that's autistic,
Yeah.
so I'm well versed in it as well. And there's all sorts of
My sister-in-law has it.
Yeah.
She's extremely on the spectrum as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jules is pretty high functioning for somebody who's autistic, but like there's
didn't I hear somewhere though that we're all a little bit on the spectrum?
We probably are.
Everybody
Probably.
has levels of it.
It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I mean the PTSD thing for me has never really been a thing. I mean, my dad did 2 tours in Vietnam, and I can't tell you the nights that he woke up and thought he was in a foxhole still and had a gun under his bed. But my dad, it doesn't mean he couldn't tell you the truth. Doesn't mean he couldn't. He's a business owner. His whole life. We had a family business forever, and I mean, you can still be credible and have those things. I mean, how many people are in government that are ex-military? We can't believe anybody that that was in war. I mean. It's just a little far, man, for me.
Yeah, that's only part with the problem I've got with Stephen is he's pushing a little bit too hard on the mental health side of things and not necessarily making fun of it, but certainly leaning on it a little bit too much than I would like. But I think we have to wait. I think we have to be patient, but we can only be so patient though. I mean, I would like to see. I mean, we're now into October, so Congress is completely back in. Obviously, there's a lot of infighting and civil war going on there at the moment. I don't think anything's going to happen until they sort out a new Speaker of the House. You guys have got the whole Trump thing going on at the moment with his civil fraud case, so that's taking up your time. So I don't think you'll see much in the way of a congressional hearing until the news cycle is ready for it. And it's not just quite as busy as it is just now. Because I mean, the whole of this week, as far as I've seen in America, it's just all about Trump.
Yeah, it's going to go away. A lot of this talk is going to go away. I don't think they've even announced when the second hearing is going to be. But I'd imagine probably not this year, right? I mean, where are they going to find the time?
I think if they're going to do it, they'll do it in November. I think you could see something happening in November. Because to be honest with you, I didn't expect them to do the hearing that they did do prior to the summer break.
Yeah.
And they managed to squeeze it in. So
you think post-election? So right there, post? Like near the end of November?
Yeah, because what have you got? Is it the midterms coming up?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think after that, I think once they get the midterms out of the way, because they're mainly in the primary cycle, aren't they, just now? So primaries don't properly sort of kick in until after Christmas, yeah?
Yeah.
And then they do the primaries, and then the nationals are next November. So 2 Novembers from now, a year in November. Sorry? Hello?
What did you boys think of the story changing slightly? What seemed to be the story changing slightly, should I say?
Yeah, what part?
About Grusch's friend, his best friend.
Oh, yeah.
And how he died.
It was
that I've been thinking about that quite a lot. I've lost best friends. I lost my best friend when I was 24 years old to a car crash. That was a car crash. He died in a car crash. Now, Grusch said, I don't know if was it Grusch that said it or was it Ross Coulthard or somebody else on a podcast that said that Grusch lost his friend to suicide, but then he said an explosion.
I thought it was 2. To be honest, maybe I'm missing this.
It could be 2 friends.
I thought it was 2. I thought it was one friend that committed suicide and then one who died in combat. Yeah.
Yeah, right, an IED explosion. I read it.
I did want to ask Stephen about that because I know he's been looking for everything with a fine-tooth comb.
He's been digging, yeah.
And
yeah, he'll definitely have the answer if he comes on.
Yeah, because I the way I heard it, it sounded like one friend to me, but I could be wrong there. So that was the bit that I thought I thought it was suicide, but then I'm thinking maybe he was in an explosion, and he was that badly injured that he just couldn't go on. And you hear about this, you hear about veterans that get that they can't function the same anymore after being injured in war, and they end up, you know. So I'm like,
Well,
I get where it's coming from with this. It seems like the story has changed a little, and I don't want to, as much as and I said this at the beginning of the show. He seems like a fucking nice guy. He's somebody I'd probably want to go for a pint with. But I don't know if he drinks anymore. But yeah, there's something.
He's
Something
more.
a little bit odd, and I've changed my tune with this because I don't know if anybody remembers when all this came out, and Grusch, I said there's something off about that guy, and when I did when they was all stood with like swearing, I said even the thumbnail itself, I made everybody else small. I just put Grusch massive in the room because I knew that none of that mattered. He was the guy. And I just said there's something off about that guy that I just don't trust. But then along the way, I've looked at him and I've started to like him. And I'm just thinking, is that maybe if he's paid to do this and he's a fucking expert, maybe that's his thing. Maybe he makes people like him, you know? Because I do. I look at the guy and I think, that's a nice guy. He seems like a great chap.
He does.
I bet he's a great husband, great dad, you know?
Go ahead,
He
Nick,
seems that guy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I agree with you, Ollie. When I started watching those two documentaries, they were like an hour long, but you get into a deep dive into what Grusch's life is like. You had to go to his bloody house and all that, see all his qualifications, his medals, and you can see him open up. I can see that as a genuine person. I thought, oh, actually, you know, he might be onto something. And he said perfectly many, many times that he says, no, I wish I could give the evidence forward, but I can't. You know, I'm not expecting him to bring like a box of evidence out or anything like that anytime soon. But yeah, he seems like a real genuine nice guy. And yeah,
then I'm thinking, is that by design? Is that you know, is somebody thinking, I'm proud of you, lad, you are doing a fucking good job here. You know,
he seems like a nice guy, but at the same time, a nice guy, somebody you want to be around is one thing, but I think social butterfly is another. And I think that you would see more of his friends come out and talk. Like, I haven't heard any of his close friends. Like, no one's stepping up and defending him at all. So, I mean, he's got a lot of medals, but I don't know if that equates to a lot of friendships. You know what I mean? Maybe it's the nature of his job.
Yeah.
He can't talk a lot to people on certain things, but
I don't think when you're in Intel, you make too many friends.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
You know, you may be like 2 or 3 people, but I think by the nature of how they work, they don't talk to each other a lot because they're each doing different things that are, you know, very compartmentalized. So I don't see them having too many friends. The one thing when I initially saw the News Nation interview, I had red flags going up left, right, and center, but then I found out he was on the spectrum, and a lot of his mannerisms and little facial tics and different things he's going on, I was like, right, that's what that is. Yeah, that makes sense to me. You know, the way he's talking, it's because he's autistic or he's Asperger's or whatever. But he's on the spectrum, so that side of things made sense to me. And the more I've seen of him, and of other 2 interviews that he's done, I have become, I find him more credible, but I am holding back. I want to see, like you guys, I want to see where it all leads. I respect the fact and I recognize the fact he's not the one that's going to blow the whistle. He's literally the one that's maybe holding the whistle for somebody else to blow. He's the gatekeeper. And you have to look upon him as that. If you look upon him as the whistleblower and the one that's going to crack open all the information, you're wrong. He's literally providing the maps, the routes, the keys, whatever analogy you want to put on it, to the different places and he's obviously quite clearly told Ross Coulthard a hell of a lot more off the record than he ever will on the record. Whether he's done that with these other guys that he's put on.
Yeah, I reckon he's told him there's a building. A very large building.
Is that the one that's built over the UFO?
So big.
Yeah.
How
But
big?
that being said, I mean,
Oh my god.
maybe that wasn't Grusch that told him that. Maybe he had that from another source. I mean, we're presuming.
I'm presuming that Coulthard told himself that in the shower. That's
Yeah.
my guess. You know.
But again,
Saved it for Kurt.
they've come down hard on Coulthard and said, you know, I mean, Stephen just does not like that guy at all. Whereas I've dug a bit deeper into his background, and he's a lot more credible than people would give him, and there's a lot of misinformation out there about him. So, I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
is a sound enough
I
journalist.
remember you saying this, Stu. Was this about the 60-minute thing?
Yeah.
About him being fired from 60 Minutes.
Yeah,
or,
but he hasn't
not
been.
being fired, but being kind of let go.
Yeah, he hasn't been. He was just, he moved on to other things. You know, he had other opportunities that he moved on to, and there was a change of regime at 60 Minutes, and I think he basically got out before he was pushed out. But at that time, they let a lot of people go. It wasn't just him. You know, he just got out before he was pushed out. And that's just the nature of business these days. You know, you look at what Elon Musk did with Twitter. He fired 80% of the workforce and said, don't need it. So, you know, if you don't have the place as a frat house, you know, you don't need these people. You can easily run the business with 20%. You know, to me, he's ruined Twitter. Now it's called X or whatever, but it's another story. But that's what big business does. You know, it streamlines. And I think that's what's happened over there.
I'm still putting UFO Twitter in my tweets and UFO X. And I have no idea which one gets the most.
I can't call it X. It's just, to me, it's Twitter and tweets. And I don't know if they'll ever get rid of that moniker.
I agree. Yeah, I won't call it X. I say Twitter. It's just on the X. It sucks, man. The name's terrible.
I was on Twitter daily, maybe 25 minutes a day, every single day, 5 days a week. And when Elon bought it over and did what he did, I have hardly been on it. And to the point where I've had friends actually message me and email me and say, "Are you all right?" Because they haven't seen me on Twitter. And it's just, I just don't like the platform now. And it's not fundamentally changed that much, but it has also changed dramatically in the same time.
Does look like a bit like a naughty app, doesn't it, on your phone if you look at it?
Yeah. But no, it's the nature of big business to streamline and to get rid of folk. And I think Ross Coulthard just took the opportunity to do other things. And I think he got the chance to do other things that are financially more advantageous. But it's quite interesting that he's not made any attempts to try and get a visa for working in America for any length of time. He's not doing that. He's only coming over, doing what he needs to do, and he's going straight back to Australia, and limiting his time in the US. And I think he's doing that so that he doesn't get caught up with the whole, kicked out because of a visa scenario, which is shrewd on his part. So he's not daft.
Nick, because you cover UFOs during World War II on your channel, you've just put your first kind of, you've had videos up there for a while, but you put your first. And by the way, don't tell people when you're coming on when you're doing your video, this is probably going to be shit because I'm like,
I know.
What did I tell you?
It's awesome. I know. Me and Stu had this conversation, man, and I was like, yeah. When I uploaded it, I was like, shit, is that the right thing to do?
It might disappear and then come back up.
Orbs keep flying around your room, and it's freaking me out.
Have you noticed that? Because I can't see anything going
on.
Probably
does, mate. Probably does.
The content's there though, Nick. I mean, the editing and stuff will come, but the content's there. That's what I took away from it. Wow, I can't wait to see the more you build upon it. The biggest thing I took away from it was I didn't realize that there was a separation between the hovercraft styles from the Germans and the Vril anti-gravity. taught me something right off the bat. So like I'm hooked. I'm in. I want to see the next video.
I
Oh,
think
man, yeah,
we wanted to get you and Mr. Eon together with a certain somebody as well.
Yes,
which we
yeah.
will make happen. Yeah, what I was going to say is, and boys, I want you to chime in with this because you probably know a lot about UFO history than I do, especially you, Terrestrial.
Yeah, a little something here or there.
Grusch mentioned 1933, so pre-World War II, for something that had crashed. Now, he's never used the word alien. So,
by design.
Through your research, have you looked at anything pre-World War II?
I mean, just other than the Italian crash, the Mussolini one, lightly, but not too much pre that, because I mean, there's just so much after comparative to before. But no,
Had you heard
not
of
too much
that before he'd mentioned it?
Yeah, faintly.
Right.
I heard it
never
was
heard of it.
debunked though before he brought it up. But I mean, it's reports are reports, you know.
Yeah.
What
Nick,
about
had
you,
heard
Nick?
of it?
Yeah, I've never heard that. I think Stephen Greer talked about it at one point, but
Right.
I can't. The only thing, something that crashed in Germany allegedly was something in the Black Forest in the early 30s, but I can't trace the origins of that story. So I reckon that was just put out there to sell us books. But when it comes to the Mussolini Italian crash, no idea. No idea. I'd love to see documents on that. It would be good for someone to go into the archives and sort of dig something up.
I definitely
Sorry.
didn't hear about that they took the crash and gave it to the Vatican though. I never heard that.
That's literally just what I was going to say. I would love to know.
You'd love
what
to
the Vatican
like take a
knows.
trip to the Vatican and just get the keys to the kingdom.
I know somebody who studies theology, well, they did up at Glasgow University, and they tried, I think, about 8 times to get into the Vatican archives, and they never got in. And like this was like, you know, a professor of theology, who was writing several books at this point, and he wanted some background information and something to do with the I think it was the Spanish Inquisition or something, and they never ever granted him access. He even got like the bishop of like the head of the Catholic Church in the UK to like back him up and sent a letter in, you know. No. It's very difficult to get into the Vatican archives if you're not part of the whole Jesuit society, and you know that's part of the Catholic Church, Jesuit sect or whatever it is. But no, I'd love to know what they
if you are a part of that, you're not going to be in a YouTube show.
No. Because I mean, the Vatican have their own observatory, and they do quite a lot of good science there, you know, and they do have priests who like go down to the Atacama, to the very large array down there, and you know work with in Hawaii and stuff like that. So they're very interested in like the whole astronomical cosmos sort of side of things, from looking at it from the point of view of obviously a religious angle. I think there's room for that, but yeah, I'd love to know if they know more.
Well, Catholicism seems to be the one religion that's accepting of this the most. And they've made the most conversations. I think the Pope said they'd be our space brothers. You know, they almost are getting ready in a sense. I wonder what they're seeing through that telescope that they don't let anyone else look through but them.
Who knows?
You know.
But no, I think you're right. I think the Catholic Church, for all its faults and problems and people, you know, diddling little boys and all the rest of
it's
it.
bad, yeah.
It's bad.
That's a Rockfin show, huh?
I've just seen Hengus73. How's the Bob Lazar filming coming on? The Bob Lazar film is frozen at the moment for 2 reasons. One is actually Grusch, because I want to see what that pans out as. And 2, we've got one person we want to really interview, which will become the backbone of the video. So it's about 70% done in terms of the way I've edited it. It's all in bits.
I think quickly we should probably tell people what happened, because we had like what 2 month plan with that, 2 or 3,
Yeah.
no, a 4-month plan, and then we announced it 2 months before it came. We announced a date, and then Stu completely did a U-turn and went, I might actually believe Bob Lazar now. You know, I'm not too sure. There's some stuff that I'm opening up.
Yeah, I discovered stuff that kind of opens the door to reality, and I'm settled on that now. I've kind of
So you scrapped like quite a bit of the documentary that you'd already done,
yeah.
essentially.
But I'm quite comfortable with what I've got edited up and the way I've got it sort of working. But yeah, it's kind of on hold. It's there. I mean, I literally could throw it together, but it just wouldn't be complete. And the person we're waiting for might as well say is Jeremy, it's alien scientist. He's just done so much work with the Bob Lazar stuff that Ollie and I want to interview him and pick his brain and basically cross
Just
our
need to get
T's
the
and
time
dot our I's.
sorted. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get that sorted and we'll get him. And Jeremy's agreed to do it. So it's just a question of getting him, and we'll get it together and we'll get it out. But I've started working on another little video, which will be done very quickly because he wants it done by the end of the month, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
your little trip to America and the paranormal stuff in the jail.
Yeah.
So it was going to go to somebody else
Yes.
to edit, but we never got round to me sending stuff across. And
Well, no, I will. What I'll probably do if we get that done beforehand, I will send him it and get him to do like just a voice thing at the beginning. You
right,
know, like with some pictures.
mm.
If though, but he's busy now, so he might not be able to do that. So, hey ho. But yeah,
But yeah, I'm working on that. I'm sort of chipping away at that. I've
it'll be
got
good.
a window. I'm going to give Nick a hand with his video. The one he's done, we might pull down and just tweak a little bit and put it back up.
Are you going to
Yeah,
find
good
time to
idea.
sleep, Stu, in between?
Yeah, and I've been no, it's just I like doing stuff like
Yeah.
this, and I want to get this stuff done because come the first week in November, I've got a lot of my own work. And I basically, for those that don't know, I've got courses up in Skillshare that basically makes me my money, and different video editing, filmmaking, and all that kind of stuff. They all need to be renewed and updated, and that's what I'm doing the first week in November. So I kind of want to do this stuff and have experiment with different bits and pieces. Um,
Phil's
but yeah,
just said a link's not working in the description. Wherever I'll check the links in the description after the show. This sometimes happen when it goes out. It fucks the links up.
yeah. So
I'll fix it.
answer Hengus's question. The Bob Lazar documentary is doing very, very well. It's sitting on my iPad in front of me here right now, and we will definitely have it out at some point very, very soon. And I think you'll enjoy it.
Well,
because
it's good to hear that you're willing to drop giant chunks and redo, because that means that you're willing to put the quality in. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I've gone back and forward with this, and there's parts of it that I've discussed with Nick and Ollie that I'm not going to mention too much about on here. But basically, we've agreed that probably from a legal standpoint, we don't want to mention it in the documentary. But I have actually checked with a lawyer.
Oh yeah,
and we could mention it, but I don't want to do that to Bob because, quite frankly, he's not a bad person and he's got his own life to live, and I don't want to drag up his past. And if folk want to go and find out about what he'd done when he was a lot younger, in the 80s and early 90s, then they can do that. But it could have put it into the documentary to sensationalize it. I'm not going to do that now. I don't think, just a wee bit of respect for the guy, because I mean he's getting older now, and he probably doesn't need this crap. So we're keeping it to the stuff that we know is
UFO
real.
stuff.
Yeah, UFO stuff. But some of the documentary is in favor of Bob, and some of it is not in favor of Bob. I'm not also going to kiss his ass, but there's more there now that's in favor, especially with everything that's come out with the Grusch. And I kind of want to see what happens, like who the whistleblowers actually are, who the can of worms gets opened up, the Pandora's box, who these people are, who have they interviewed, who are these 60 odd people that were supposedly interviewed behind closed doors in Congress. Is anyone related to anyone at Area 51? Because that could be in Bob Lazar's favor. The other thing is he not doing some kind of documentary or TV show or something?
Yeah, Project Gravatar. Yep.
Yeah, I know nothing about that. So I kind of want to see what. comes out with that.
It's a documentary. They're doing another book for him. And then there's one other thing. It's the third item. I can't ever remember, but they're doing another. So it's 3 things that he's involved with. Yeah.
Right. So I'm kind of curious to see how, if anything comes out, because the problem with Bob is I mean, Joe Rogan says, "Oh, his story's always been solid and all the rest of it," which is a load of shit. If
Yeah.
you actually watch all these interviews over the years, his story does change ever so slightly, but it does change, and he does exaggerate some things sometimes and pulls it back in other interviews. And I want to see if he let slip something in this new stuff that's coming out that could then add to or take away from. Because I don't want to put a documentary out that potentially could get a lot of eyes on it that were wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I want to be as right as we can possibly be and not have anybody. I don't think anyone would try and sue us or try and get all the channel shut down or anything daft like that. But I just want to be right because I'm going to be on Corbell's, targets, his sites. He's not going to enjoy parts of the documentary. Neither he is. I know that for a fact. Whether that bothers him enough to speak about it or.
And you're a Corbell fan.
Yeah.
I like Corbell, that's the thing. But I'm also, being truthful to the story. And there's parts of it that Corbell did in that documentary that was just utter shit. The one that he did.
Well, I mean, Corbell doesn't have any room to talk about anyone's opinion on Bob. He should have dragged Bob to that first congressional hearing, and he failed at doing that. So he can't critique anybody,
So, and George Knapp as well. George Knapp's kind of milked the gravy train to a certain extent with Bob over the years.
Well, but Knapp's got another book about to come out, supposedly.
So, yeah. So the documentary is kind of done but on hold. And it won't take long to actually knit it all together once we get Jeremy in place. So that'll be good. So we will definitely have it out at some point, but I'm not putting a date on it now and saying it'll be out by the end of the year, before the end of the year or anything like that. We just don't know. Because I want to interview Jeremy, see what Grusch has to say. We'll probably wait for the other congressional hearing to happen and see what comes from that. And also potentially what Bob's done with these projects. I'm not going to wait too long. We want to get the documentary out for Ollie. What we might end up doing is releasing it in 2 parts because it's quite lengthy. I mean, at the moment, it's sitting easily at 2 hours, 10 minutes. And if I remove certain things and put Jeremy in, I could probably get it down to an hour and 3/4. So it could go out in 2 parts easily. You could have part 1 and part 2. So we might do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's better to wait though for Gravatar because I mean, who's going to do another big thing after that? Probably no one for a very long time.
When's that? When is Gravatar?
I don't know the dates on. I'm assuming probably within. I would assume 6-8 months. They're gonna have something else you're gonna hear about it because why else would they be announcing it now? Usually, 2 years the most. You want to announce something like that early? I mean,
no, yeah. I mean, if they announced it like 2-3 months ago now, I would say it'll be now. It'll be the fall. It'll go out.
We'll get something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be for a fall release if they've got, like, I don't know if they've got Netflix or Prime or one of the other streaming platforms or whether it's just going on YouTube or whatever. But I would say now to the end of October is probably the best time to be releasing it. Otherwise, they'll hold it off until the beginning of January. For the sort of new stuff starting in January after the Christmas hiatus.
Yeah, we'd have to get something before summer of next year, right? I just don't know why they would advertise that early. I mean, if they're not going to,
Let's say worst case scenario, we'll split it up into 2, and best case scenario, we'll get the whole thing out. But I think folk are going to enjoy it because the stuff that I've really dug deep and pulled together, information that's available to everybody if you go looking for it, but I've never seen it in one video before.
Well, that's it. I mean, so Avery that we had on last night, Chiller Queen, which was it was a bloody good show, and she really concentrates on like true crime and all that sort of stuff, in with a bit of the demonic stuff, and she does tackle UFOs, aliens. She has done. That's where Lee found her and then sent me the video about her talking about aliens and demons. and well, he'd watched it before, but he watched that show recently. Then he just thought, "Now I need to get this person on." But she said all the information that's out there, if anybody bothers to do the work, you can get it. Anybody can get this information. You just got to do the work to get this information.
I mean, I probably did a solid 3 months worth of digging before I even started on an edit, and I downloaded a lot of content about that Bob Lazar had made in terms of being in
But
old stuff, new stuff, and I mean, somebody put just not even that long ago, I think a month or two ago, or maybe about a month and a half ago, somebody put up a John Lear video that was very rarely seen.
Oh yeah,
And
I think I saw that. Yeah,
yeah, and it contradicted a lot of what Bob had said in his version of how they get caught. Because Bob presented it one way and John went completely down a different route. And in this case, it's more credible what John says, believe it or not, even long, R.I.P. and all the rest of it, than the way that Bob sold it. It's more truthful to the way he says it. So I've taken literally out the bit that Bob's originally said, which I think I borrowed from Joe Rogan and one other podcast. And in fact, no, it was Coast to Coast. And I've put in Lear's clip and then intercut it with what Bob said. So you've got a juxtaposition of the two different versions. And then I leave it up to the viewer to decide which one you want to believe. Do you want to believe Bob or do you want to believe John? But the two are completely different, from each other. And it's quite funny. It's quite amusing.
What was it more? Was it more recent Lear? Because Lear to me is what Greer is to Ali. I love John Lear, even though not everything he said was true.
It was still
but
an old Lear video. It was obviously done mid-90s, earlier or mid-90s.
Okay, because I remember
appeared on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Because I remember the original story he told on Art Bell, and that was my favorite, I guess, version that he told about them getting caught in the desert. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
About the gun, the 5 people, and yeah.
Yeah, but did they mention the fact that Bob had jumped into the car and
no, no. I mean, he'd ran from the car, and then when the camo guys essentially let them go, and they got pulled over by the sheriff up the road, they were in the camper, and that's what he said. Where's the gun? And then Bob, I guess, was supposedly upset.
Bob
with Lear.
Supposedly, if you listen to John's side of things, Bob turned up later when the sheriff was there. He basically had sort of chickened out, done a runner, and then come back. And at that point, he got caught. But he wasn't actually caught with them.
Yeah, in Lear's original Art Bell interview, that's what he said, though. He said that he ran off to the desert when the camo guys showed up, but then came back, and then the sheriff got them way longer up the road. And Lear said, Bob will never forgive me for this. But when the sheriff asked for all of our IDs, I said mine was in the trunk. And then that's, he had to open up the trunk, and Bob was pissed about that.
Yeah.
So,
no,
yeah.
He never went back to the camo guys, though. It was to the sheriff.
Okay.
So that's the difference between the two different John Lear interviews. In this one, there's a lot more detail goes into it, and I'm sort of paraphrasing it as well. But yeah, it's a good, the way I've done it, it's a good sort of juxtaposition. It jumps back and forward between the two as if they're both, like, if you can imagine, they're being interviewed by the police and they're giving two entirely different stories that's supposed to be, aligned, and they're not. And it's just quite comical, the way it kind of works out. So that's part of it. So yeah, there's whole elements of it that I've ditched and brought back in, and all the rest of it. And
Lear told so many stories, man. It wouldn't shock me if there was some discrepancies in between. He's got a lot.
His stories are wild.
Oh yeah.
Oh, definitely. Excuse me a second, guys. Hold on.
So I would say, like, speaking about finding out information, how easy it is if you just go and look for it. I would hazard a guess to say that if you go look for the information on David Grusch, it's going to be a lot harder than most of these people.
For instance, like I want to look into Foo Fighters, and I have to go to the National Archive to do that. I can do that because I can put a FOIA request or Freedom of Information Act, and I can do that. I won't be able to do that with someone like Grusch or any so-called whistleblower. I mean, he's not technically a whistleblower anyway. So, but yeah, if you want to go look for any information, you can do, depending on what subject it is. But when it comes to Grusch, I don't think you're going to find anything.
Do you think, Stu? So if I asked you to do the same thing in a few
What,
years'
with Grusch?
time, I said, why don't you do a Grusch documentary? I think that would be a lot harder.
I don't think you would find shit on him on the internet. I think he's literally wiped clean just by the nature of his job, and anything that does appear on the internet now, it's basically from the point of the News Nation stuff.
Stephen, I think he's coming on. He said he asked for an invite. I've sent him the invite. But he said that people are starting to look into this guy's like military history, and they can't find shit on it. You know
That's par for the course, but the nature of what he does, you're not going to get his military record. It'll be redacted to fucking hell, just by the nature of he is intel.
So do any of you know? I've heard Grusch is like a real estate agent, at least at one point. Does anyone know? Is he currently still doing that, or was that something done? Because I remember seeing he wiped a lot of that information off the internet. Does anybody know?
I can imagine Grusch showing me around a house.
Yeah,
I think he's maybe there's maybe businesses he's involved with, but I think he's still providing consultancy information. I mean, he's still got his clearances. He didn't lose them. That actually blows me away. And it's the same here in the UK, that people who are like have left the government or the military, and they still retain top secret clearances and can get access to stuff. I just don't understand that. To me, I would block them from getting access, just by the nature of I mean, look what's happening with like Trump. Trump's potentially given information about the American subs out. Talked to somebody in Mar-a-Lago, and they're now having to investigate who the hell it was. And did he sell information now to the Chinese or anything? You just don't know. I mean, that's a serious. I mean, I thought when he originally was getting hassled for documents, it was like a couple of boxes full. Turns out it was thousands of stuff, and he was quite happily bragging about it on a daily basis. And he's probably still got stuff they haven't even found. I don't think they've found everything, or he's copied it or something.
And I always struggle with this word, hearsay. The thing, is perfect though, because this has got everybody. I would say that this has got people more than when Fravor came out. I can't remember what it was like when Bob first happened. I mean, we didn't really there was no internet back then anyway.
I wasn't even alive.
I was.
I was.
Yeah. But I can't remember it.
I vaguely remember it.
The whole thing is just like such, and it should be. I mean, it's nothing. It's nothing but what he's heard. But everybody, including myself, is like on this and interested in it. Like, not just as a content creator, but as I'm like waiting for something to be said by this guy. I do think, and I put this in the thumbnail, that at some point something is gonna blow with that lad. He will. I'm not saying I'm not doing like a full like Metal Jacket moment where he just goes mental and just starts telling everybody what's going on, who told him it. But I do think he's going to make some mistakes. I think the pressure's it's got to do. at some point, how unless if he doesn't make any mistakes with this, then I would say that this guy, he's paid to do this. If he makes no mistakes, that's too perfect. He's
But I
he's
would say he's
too
already made
good.
mistakes.
Has he though?
Yeah. If you drill down to what he said in News Nation with Ross, and then you got the behind the scenes stuff and the extra stuff that came out, and then you look at those effectively those two like podcast style vlog interviews that he's done on YouTube, they're not perfect.
No, but what if that's by design?
No.
What if everything that we see with this guy and with other people in
So
this field
what you saying? He's like a modern Richard Doty.
is? I hope not, because I like the guy.
Yeah. Because Doty's, I mean,
Well,
Doty's got UFO disease.
yeah. I
we
don't know.
spoke
There's
to one of
something about him
Doty's
incredible.
friends, and you know, he's kind of like, yeah, the guy's totally regrets a lot of it, and maybe some of these. I mean, people are only human, you know. Does one man's act have to be a lifetime of you know, if somebody makes a mistake?
I'll say this to you. Have you
Depends.
ever seen the Ben Affleck movie, The Accountant, where he
Nobody
plays an
sounds really
assassin, but
interesting.
he's also an accountant that goes into businesses and rips apart their books on a very fine.
Well, actually, now it does sound interesting. Go on.
Yeah, well, Anna Kendrick's in it as well, but he plays somebody who's on the autistic Asperger's spectrum, and there's aspects of Affleck's character in that movie that you will see in Grusch, and the fact that his autism and his high functioning autism is a bit like Rain Man almost, you know, like being able to
Count the cards.
Yeah, like look at the numbers, look at the stuff. It's obvious that Grush has been able to pull together the information, but again, we're behind the curtain or in front of the curtain. He's behind the curtain. He knows what he's seen, what he's read, and he seems to be pretty like, I mean, he's basically said that, you know, I'd have to be a real fucking idiot to trust people who I've been friendly with and worked with for years and years and years and not believe them, you know, because if they're lying to me, then they're blowing up, you know, a couple of decades worth of friendship and, you know, working with them and stuff like that. You know, they're going to ruin any relationship they've had with them. I mean, the Pentagon is a weird one because it's, to me, and Terrestrial, I think you hopefully can back me up on this. Would you say that it's two halves? There's one half are like in Grush's side and want disclosure, and then there's the other half that like your Kirkpatrick's and stuff like that that are doing everything to stop it.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the overall the side that doesn't want disclosure is probably winning.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I think Arrow is, and their website's the greatest black hole they could ever create to grab this narrative and take it back over again. That they're smart, man. No matter how much I don't agree with what they're doing, boy, I think we in the UFO community forget just how smart they are with the way they're setting that up. But yeah, I agree. I think there are people that want it out, and there are people that don't. I think that's pretty apparent at this point. But I just wonder with groups like NASA, you know, how much of that arm from Arrow is reaching in and having control, you know, at all.
Maybe that like one half of that that did want disclosure is now a quarter. You know, something hit it back in 2001, and
somebody's just
now there's 3/4 of the Pentagon that doesn't want disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, I think Elizondo was definitely probably telling the truth when he said that a lot of them don't want to talk about it because they think it's demonic. I mean, it does make sense. Christianity is gigantic over here. It makes sense, man. Yeah, I could
Yeah, I
buy
can
that for
see how
sure.
it definitely would work its way into. Yeah, that's. I'm just looking. Sorry at the chat there. Welcome to the show. It says not seen that UK hacker from years ago at any of these hearings and talking about Gary McKinnon. I know somebody that knows him, and he just does not want to seem to do interviews. I'd love to get him on here for you, Ollie.
Gary McKinnon.
Yeah.
Mm. I'd love to speak to that guy,
but he doesn't. He just doesn't do
no
interviews. I don't know if we could get him on or not. I'm
He's done
certainly.
a couple. Didn't he do one a few years ago?
Yeah, but I think since he was put under pressure again of potentially getting extradited, they kind of went quiet. So he did.
If he starts spilling the beans of what he's actually seen, then Americans would be like, "Hold on a minute, you're opening up your mouth too much, boy." I mean, it'd be like worse than Grusch if you look at it. When he's actually seen, he's fucking hacked into NASA and all that. I clearly remember this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he's.
And the thing is, the way he did it was just Perl script and just basically pulling out, trying his luck with bog standard passwords. It was like the easiest white hacker sort of maneuver you could possibly do. There's kids out there that are 12 years old that can hack deeper than that these days. What he did was not complicated for back in the day. And it's just a pity that when he did do it, the internet and speeds and stuff like that were still snail pace, 56 kilobits per second and stuff like that. It wasn't until 2002, 2003 that broadband started to sort of, 1 meg, 2 meg broadband started to kind of come into the UK more so.
Do you boys think, and this doesn't just go for Grusch, this goes for anything out there, but do you think some of the debunkers are going to be eating their words in the next few years with some of these cases and the characters behind the cases?
Absolutely. Totally think so. I mean, and this is no disrespect to Stephen, if I was Stephen, would sit in the fence more. He's totally, jumped on Grusch being a complete fraud, and I don't think he is. Whether he's telling the whole truth.
Isn't that kind of like, again, when I've sent him an invite anyway, so I'll say this to the guy's face, but isn't that his thing now? That's his. When you've got that kind of like it's like with Lou reviews, Lou's been on here. I speak to Lou now and again. That's the thing. Maybe with Lou it's a little bit different because there's a lot of bitterness there. So, like he fucking nuked his entire channel that was making quite a bit of money as well. But like Steven's good at the whole debunk thing because he does it in a way that's very entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. When he goes on his rants, it's hilarious. But I do think, and you and I have talked about this in the past, when he says he's maybe background checked something, he's maybe not background checked it as much as you would think he has. So he's kind of playing on things a little bit. He's risking, probably being in the right, but potentially being in the wrong with certain information. And this goes back to
I do that.
Yeah, it's the third phase and stuff like that. I mean, I know you had that big war with Goofon and all the rest of it, and it's settled down for the most part at the moment. But
I didn't have a war with Goofon.
No, you didn't. Stephen did.
Oh right, okay, yeah. Stephen definitely did.
Goofon just went off on one and you one day, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, because I showed him some facts and he didn't like it.
Yeah. But I mean that's sort of water under the bridge now. But because that was just as I was sort of starting to join the channel that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll eat their words, but I think it'll be happy eating. I think because at the end of the day, I think Cambion and Lou, they want it to be aliens like everybody else. I still think that there's a big part of them both that because I don't think either one of them have really come out and said 100% there's no aliens. I think that they are a little bit more on the fence now. It could be leaning a lot. on the fence, but yeah, but I don't think it would hurt their channels either. I mean, if
No, I
it
don't.
really came out, you know, there's not really any risk to the way
one
that
thing
they're
that
going about it.
the one thing I would say about Stephen is I think he'll quite happily eat a pair of his sunglasses
Yes.
when he's proved wrong, because he has quite happily apologized and like said, right, okay, I got that wrong, and owned up to it and owned it, and I have respect for that, and I think that's why he has a reasonable audience that he does. I mean, he put out a video the other day about something that was a complaint, and he addressed it. I thought, good on you. Not everybody's going to do that if you screw up. You know, good people do, but not everybody.
Yeah, but I think that's what sets people like even Lou Angeles and Cambion apart from like a Corbell is like if they come into a new evidence, I don't think Lou Angeles would have a single issue turning around saying, "Dude, I was wrong," and Cambion obviously has proven that too. I was wrong.
Yeah, Corbell just doubles down.
Correct. That's the difference. That's my issue with Corbell. Instead of, like I mentioned before, I just think for him, he feels like he always has to be right, or else he can't be a face of a lot of this, and that's going to cause problems. And everyone's has issues where they can be wrong, and if you try to put up that invincibility wall, you're going to end up being wrong, and you're going to look like an ass because of it. If you can't stand up and say, "Hey, I was wrong."
Yeah, I mean that goes for Greer, and it also goes for Nick Pope. I mean, Nick Pope literally was on the other day and going on about how he was in charge of the MOD's UFO thing, and it's a lot of shit. The guy used to answer phones. You know, he used to answer phones and take down information. There was no like X-Files style department that you made out. That was purely born out of literally the X-Files TV show. He took advantage of that and ran with it. He was the UK's Fox Mulder. I mean, it's quite clearly. There's lots of people have said who are worked at the same time as him in the Ministry of Defence who have said he did not do that.
Well, Nick Pope's going to run that hearing, Ali.
He is, yeah. That hearing's coming up. I think it's been postponed till.
What one's that?
It's going to be March.
I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm going.
Is it a UK hearing?
Alien addicts.
Yeah,
I'm going to make a big middle finger.
The UK UFO hearing is going to be presented by. We've got Nick Pope that's going to be going in front of the Houses of Parliament.
You're
and
kidding.
No, not at all. And who else is going to be there?
What Commons committees?
We get a general from Rendlesham Forest apparently as well, but he's from the States though.
But Nick Pope stays in the States now. He's no longer.
Yeah, no, he's coming back to England for a holiday.
Yeah, but he's got US citizenship and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm definitely gonna camp out.
Well, you're gonna be sitting behind him, right? The way Corbell was with Grusch.
Oh,
You're gonna
I'll try. Yeah,
yeah, you'll be right behind him.
And in the UK, when it's like a Commons committee, a select committee. Depending on where they're doing it, you might not get public access. It'll be televised on the Parliament channel.
March, it's happening. Yeah.
God, really? That's interesting.
I know.
The thing
what's that Prime Minister called? I keep forgetting. It's not forgettable.
Rishi Sunak.
Is it? Oh, it's him now, isn't it?
Yeah.
This week, I thought it was Boris. I'm that not interested in our countries.
I pay more attention to American politics than the UK.
Whoever's in charge of the UK, it doesn't matter because you get the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's always great watching those though when they get up and he talks and people and then he slams the book down. It's always entertaining to see that stuff. They really get loud in those hearings. Huh?
I think your Congress is entertaining.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You can't find our politics entertaining.
Sorry, Ma.
It's just when they get loud and everything and they argue right across at each other. Nobody cares. It definitely is fun when it gets get loud like that.
I mean, we don't have, well, actually we probably do, but we don't have members of Congress or members of Parliament going in to see Beetlejuice and getting groped.
I haven't watched like a lot of it, but my dad had C-SPAN on like 24/7 as a kid growing up. So like those hearings would come across and oh man, it was fun.
I mean, I find Congress and the whole way the American government works really entertaining.
So I am going to say this for the audience that's here now, because I feel a little bit guilty, but I am making all this up about Nick Pope going, but on every other show that we do say it from now on, I'm going to be deadly serious. And then you can take this show for reference that it's all a lie, but I'm going to lie on every single show until people start spreading rumors. So there you go. I'm going to tell you the truth now, but I'm going to spread some shit.
I think I'm going to write to my local MP and ask her to ask a question in Parliament about UFOs, because I think she would do it.
Do you know, Stu, though, it wouldn't surprise me now if this starts happening in our country, because I was seeing the other day the fucking Mexican Peru alien mummies were on the BBC. And it wasn't as a joke. It was.
Where are we at with that this week? Are they real this week or are they fake?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it for a while. I see. I never wanted to start covering that, and then like Lee's like,
Lee?
We need to start covering this. It's bigger than you think, and I'm looking into it. I'm going, holy shit, this is bigger than I think, because people are now kind of arguing with the debunkers, and I find covering those little fake aliens extremely fun. And the simple reason is because I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't it be? It's genius. It's genius to give somebody like Jaime Maussan, who is not trustworthy at all because of the stuff that's happened over the years,
to say the least.
It's perfect. Give the guy that nobody trusts a real fucking alien, and it's like, this is real. This is real. Now, come on, it's like Boy That Cried Wolf.
Yeah.
Phil Madden, my lad, with the super sticker.
We appreciate you.
You're beautiful, man. You. Thank you so much. Appreciate you, Phil.
The one documentary that Jaime Maussan has done that I am intrigued by is the UFOs going into the volcanoes in Mexico, because they have a lot of active volcanic regions in that area, big volcanoes that tend to kind of explode every now and again, but they have high quality 4K webcams on them at all times, partly to keep an eye on them and partly obviously to just have a document of what the mountain's doing at any one point. And they've captured a lot of these lights and UFOs disappearing inside and stuff like that. And then the mountain, it goes both ways. It'll disappear inside, and then the mountain will really erupt. And then at other times, it will disappear inside, and then the mountain will calm down. And it's really bizarre. And it was Jaime that did that. But it's all publicly accessible footage if you go digging for it in the Mexican websites. So you know it's not bullshit.
Well, this is what I was going to say to you, Stu. Then when you brought Nick, but you brought Nick Pope up.
I probably did. I don't know. Yeah, I did actually. Yeah.
So people speak about Nick Pope's background and say he was just like an office guy. You know, he didn't do much there, like in terms of UFOs. Does that go to say that he's not doing that now?
I think he has, over the years, learned about it. He's obviously been a part of.
So maybe sometimes with a great with the small grift becomes a great. I'm trying to do a Spider-Man thing. I just can't finish it.
The great power comes the great responsibility.
but do you know what I'm saying? Like with Jaime, Greer, Nick Pope. Some people accuse Dolan, what's his name? Willie Wilcock, David Wilcock. God. Yeah.
That's another favorite. Him and Corey Good are
maybe sometimes with these grifts, you do get like.
I've got a saying for
truths.
You. A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Maybe,
No,
maybe
right.
one, but maybe with them once in a lifetime.
I mean, even if you take all the years that Nick Pope has now been in the UFO community, which is now decades, he's got to know a lot. So you cannot
Exactly.
take that away from him. What pisses me off is the fact that it literally, you might as well have it tattooed in his forehead. Hi, I'm Nick Pope. I was the UK's Fox Mulder. No, you fucking weren't. You know, you might have become a ufologist since you left the MOD, you know, because it was like maybe a hobby and a passion. But do not tell us that you were the person that ran the UFO department in the UK, because that department pretty much did not exist. And where it did exist, you did not work.
You know,
he wrote the Rendlesham Forest books, right? Like the big ones.
Yeah, he did,
Yeah, along
yeah.
with
He
other
did.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys who just wants to make money. I mean, I consider him what the mainstream media put when they want someone to talk about UFOs. He's the guy he goes to who want to put him on speed dial. You know, Nick Pope, could you talk about UFOs? Yep, I'll be there, no worries. And he always says the same thing. I can't confirm or deny these claims, but I'm not ruling that out. He always says the same bloody thing. And it's just like this guy provides absolutely nothing. Like Rich says, he says he's done nothing for the community in 30 years. He's placed himself on this pedestal as the Fox Mulder. Well, first of all, Fox Mulder was a fucking conspiracy theorist. Nick Pope has said many times. Nick Pope has said many times that there's no such thing as conspiracy theories. He's said that multiple times. Oh, there's no such thing as conspiracy theories. And yet he's on a show called Ancient Aliens. He is full of shit, and I can't stand the guy. No offense, but
I'm the same. I can't stand him either. I think most ufologists in the UK just roll our eyes and shrug our shoulders and just.
How many ufologists can you think of in the UK?
I don't know, two. Me, well, three, me, you.
I'm not a ufologist.
Ali, you like to do the Joe Rogan thing where he's a smart guy and you like to say, I don't know, I'm not very smart. You love doing that.
Guy.
You know more than you let on.
I've tested my IQ. I don't want to tell you what it is.
I don't count myself as a ufologist. I dabble.
I don't either, but I like to look into the stuff crazily, you know.
But no, I think there is a few. Well, yeah, there is a few ufologists out there.
Yeah, they're all hiding. You know,
they're
in a basement somewhere. Like,
what do you call it? David Clark, the Calvine thing. He was on that documentary.
Yeah, he was. He was brilliant on that,
and he was really good. I'm going to email him and compliment him because I was actually quite surprised that he was involved with that. Because he never mentioned it.
If he was surprised it was good, then I was going to say.
Well, no. He's always been very. I mean, anytime I've spoken to him a few times on the phone, and because he's obviously asked me about Calvine and stuff, and he's borrowed the presentation thing I put together for you. He has.
I'd like to get David Clark on. I like him. I think he's great.
So I think I would class him as a ufologist as well as being a journalist. Thank you, Steve French.
Steve.
Oh, thanks, Steve.
Lad. You don't have to pay us to say sorry. And if you're gonna, you put like 100 or something. I'm kidding. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Stephen Cambion's got lost on the way to the cabin tonight. I don't think
he did. He messaged me, say he's going to try and come on. Something about dropping his boy off or something, and send the link. So I've sent the link. So if he comes, he comes. If he doesn't, he doesn't. The show will go on. He messaged like literally about an hour before the show was going to start. So this wasn't planned to get him on anyway. I just wanted to speak about Grusch again because the guy just tickles my nipples.
Yeah, I want a fresh update on the day count.
I do think at some point that Grusch train is going to slow down.
I think it has slowed down.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to, until they bring other people out of the woodwork to corroborate what he's been saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Stu.
No, carry on.
I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, if you were looking for him to be like a first-hand style whistleblower, bring evidence. Yeah, I mean, the train's really, really, really slowed down. But I mean, if you're still into seeing the more documentaries and you just want to be entertained by it, I mean, we just had that Yes Theory one. I mean, there's a little bit of steam ahead on that, but for what we want, no more stories, give us some evidence. It's not looking good so far.
The big problem with Coulthard and Grusch in that whole interview, and also News Nation. News Nation rebranded itself a couple of years ago. Am I right in saying, Terrestrial, they're now national syndicate? They're not just Chicago.
No idea. I've never even
know-
heard of them until that interview with Grusch.
Are they something
Right.
to do with KLS, which is
That's the
George-
parent company.
with Naps?
Yeah, that's
That's
part
all
of the
in
parent
itself.
company. But I think they're syndicated nationally now, or at least on both coasts. I'm pretty sure you can get them on whatever channels in America, as well as on YouTube. But they seem to be going hard on the whole conspiracy theory, UFO, UAP, but also with like what happened over in Hawaii. They have dived deep into that and the whole, conspiracy theory stuff related to that, and particle weapons and all that kind of stuff they've talked about. So they obviously see some mileage in it. And I've also noticed that oh god, what's his name? The one of the journalists that used to be with CNN, Chris Como. He's on podcast or YouTube channel now, and he's doing a lot more UFO orientated stuff. So it's obviously something that's on the editor's brain as a way of getting in an audience.
Yeah, I mean, when New York Times and I can't remember the other name of the other paper that was looking at it, but I mean, when they didn't want to take the Grusch story initially,
Washington Post.
Yeah, Washington Post, and then I mean, Leslie Keane has essentially just admitted that now that they didn't want it because they didn't have time to verify any actual evidence. And so you got News Nation that wants to jump on there. Hey, they've made quite a name for themselves. If you want to do that, you can.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say, we get back to my original point. I think they overplayed their hand. They hyped it up too much as this guy was going to open the floodgates of disclosure, and he didn't, and he wasn't. It was never part of the remit of the interview, but they kind of clickbaited as all.
No, I agree. I think, but I think the whole community did that though too. I think all of ufology has built Grusch up so high, and I think that's what I worried about initially when he first came out. Was my initial response to Grusch was, okay, this is another guy telling stories. He doesn't have any evidence. Like, who cares? It's another Elizondo or something like that. But I mean, once they said we're going to get him to that hearing and he would go up there and testify, I thought, okay, well, maybe he's not just smoke. Maybe he'll be able to say something. But yeah, I mean, all of ufology has really built him up. I don't know anybody, even if you're a big skeptic, guys. Am I crazy to say there wasn't a little bit part of you that was cheering him on, like in the sense of like, God, I hope he drops it. Like, I really hope he tells the story. Like,
Absolutely,
you got to have that hope. I just don't know. I don't know if like Mick West had to have hoped. You know what I mean? Even if you're an ultra skeptic, you got to have some kind of belief that there's something behind this. Otherwise, why are you here? You know what I mean? Like, I don't play chess, so I don't go to chess club. You know what I mean? So you got to have some kind of passion, some kind of belief that would bring you to this topic, that it's not all just back or just government tech that we've had on our own. You know what I mean? There's got to be something there.
Yeah. I'm hoping that one of your Congress men or women, Congress people screws up and slips up, one of the sort of more thicker GOP ones, and let slip some juicy information about disclosure.
Yeah, I mean, Gates did. I mean, with that picture, supposedly. I mean, he kind of came out and was talking out of turn a little bit, talking about his experience there. And obviously, we don't have the photo. God, I wish we did. But I don't think he was supposed to talk about that.
I think also, like, on that day, they outed Boeing, because no other manufacturer was mentioned during that day, but they outed Boeing, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah, that was my hope for Grusch was, if they can get him into a skiff, even though if they want to say the stuff is classified and they don't want to tell us who it is or the companies themselves, what we would find out is just through third party of like what happens. I mean, if he goes behind and says Lockheed's got it, EG&G, Boeing, you're going to start to see them bring in people from these private corporations and interview him. And so you would kind of know what he said, even though you didn't hear what he said, you could kind of figure that out.
Read between the lines.
Yeah, read between the lines. That's what my biggest hope. Because even when he said the skiff thing, I'm like, well, we're never going to hear that, right?
No.
But we'll have to see how everything shakes out after, and we'll be able to know.
Don't you find it crazy that we've had for now since when did we get the Tic Tac footage?
2017.
17, yeah.
17,
Well, I
17.
thought it was
Supposedly it
16.
was out earlier, right? Wasn't there one of those videos that was in the
it
past?
was
2007.
way back. I think
Way
it was
back,
yeah, way back, and then it got really like it leaked, and then people looked at it like a UFO, just a normal UFO video. and
Yeah.
It was put out in
that's
some
pretty
forum.
good, but it could be fake. But when it officially came out, then we got Corbell on the scene, and I don't think Corbell is a paid disinformation agent. I don't think that. I think Corbell he's been picked. He's the guy because he'll roll with it, and he loves it. He said it himself. I don't know if any of you guys have just watched the Steve-O podcast.
Bit of it, yeah.
With Corbell, I was watching a little bit.
No, I'm going to watch that tonight, actually.
Yeah.
So there was something that stuck out to me, like when he was talking about patient 16, and he said, I got given a video. His wife bought him a video camera, and he's like, I'll sit. I pointed at people, and they just spilled the beans,
Yeah.
so to speak. And I just thought, I believe that. I think he's dabbled in stuff. It's not quite worked out, not made enough money for him. He's done his fine art stuff, documentaries, and he was injured with his jiu-jitsu. That was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, supposedly, yeah.
Yeah. But then
what you've got to remember is he comes from money. So
right,
regardless of what he does or doesn't do, his bills are paid.
Yeah, well, yeah, I get that, but at the same time, I don't know if that would make his stuff just, maybe he might have known a few people to push his stuff, but he made a documentary, it did pretty well, and then he did another documentary and did fucking well, and I think sometimes somebody with that type of attitude to this subject is perfect. And I'm going to use the word them for them, because if there is a narrative here, and if your mum and dad, grandma, granddad, best friend in the pub, colleague at work is supposed to believe in this subject, you give it to somebody who's not going to pull this subject to pieces. You give it to somebody who's going to roll with it and going to want to make a lot of money on it, and will be successful because you can see that guy will be a success. So you leak him information, the guy will just put that information out. And this is not me saying that Jeremy is a paid.
No, I get what you're saying.
He's being paid off. This is me saying that Jeremy would be grateful for what he gets.
Well, he's going to be better than Tom DeLonge. I mean, that's what I think the issue with Tom is that Tom he has a reach, he has a voice, but as you've learned, you need more than that. And Corbell, no matter what you think of the guy, I mean, his projects, he's obviously talented with a camera.
And
you
just
there's no doubt about
nailed it there, Ice Cream, because Tom DeLonge, as much as everybody might want to pull TTSA down, Tom DeLonge before TTSA, when he was in Blink 182, when he was a youngster. By the way, Blink 182's new track is fucking phenomenal. But yeah, they did a comeback track. It's good. But when he was in 182, and he was, I would say, 21, I would think he would have been, when I saw this interview on my mate's MTV, and he's in front of the camera. You can find it on YouTube, actually.
That's one where he's got the emo hair in front of his face, right?
Yeah, and he's talking about Kennedy. He's talking about UFOs. UFOs are real. And he's saying that every time he goes on a trip, he takes all these books with him. And he's reading books on UFOs. That guy was picked. That guy was handpicked. And I think he may have fucked up when he was on Joe Rogan.
For sure he did, yeah.
And they realized that. And then Lou became the guy. Lou, he got out of it at the right time when he should have got out of it, because he'll probably he's going to make a reappearance at some point after the book. And now you've got Corbell. I know Corbell was around with Lou and TTSA.
Yeah.
But not as present as he is now. This is not me saying that Corbell is by any means. Do not read into this. I'm not saying he's a disinformation agent. I don't think you have to be. I think if somebody, and I'm going to say this now, Lee will agree with me. If somebody sends me a fucking UFO video that is insane, I'm putting it out there. If they send me a few more after that from another source, I'm putting it out there. And if the channel keeps growing on the back of it, I'm going to keep doing it. And then I may go into other things because of that. That's going to be difficult for us to turn around and go, should we stop doing this? It's not right, you know. Should we stop? We're gaining traction here.
Ollie, I'm gonna have to bounce, mate, because that's
no
time of night. Dog's gonna have to get walked.
All right, my lad.
Good to see you
guys.
If Cambion comes back on, run home.
Yeah, if Cambion comes back on now, I'll be back on. I'll leave the computer running. Right,
No
just
worries,
guys, just
Hey,
chat.
thank you, Zane. This is Susie.
Next,
Cheers,
I'll
Stu.
catch up with you tomorrow.
Got about 50.
Cheers, Stu. Thank you, mate.
Anyway.
Cheers. Bye.
My lad.
Cheers.
But you see what I'm saying there?
Yeah.
And you asked me for a question for when you get rich. Oh, have you interviewed Rich already, haven't you?
No, it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah. That's the question. Do you understand? That's the question.
Essentially, what, like, why? Well, say the question again, because I mean, I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm trying to pull the question out of it.
So ask Rich.
Okay.
If he's going to be sent a piece of amazing footage, and then all of a sudden he realizes that he's getting the same source sending him this stuff, that this source is saying, I do not want my name putting out there. This is mind-blowing, this stuff that he's putting out there, by the way. And then all of a sudden his channel starts to grow even bigger, and he becomes wildly successful from this. His platform goes out there to the likes of fucking Rogan, whatever. Does he all of a sudden turn around and say, you know what? This isn't right. I'm going to stop doing this. Because he's only human. Do you you get the question? And you can word that wherever way.
Yeah,
I'm probably wording that really.
No. So what you're saying is essentially, you know, if
I think Corbell knows. I think he knows. I think he has. I think George Knapp knows. I think most of the people out there that are in this that know if they're being used, but they don't care.
So you're saying, you know, wild success in the time frame that he's acquired it, you have to be suspicious of that, is what you're saying? That you have to have been at least suspicious that you've been moved in the right positions.
What I'm saying is,
yeah.
Okay, ice cream. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm just somebody that is I'm in your chat. And then all of a sudden I'm emailing you the best fucking footage you've ever seen in your life. And I mean without a shadow of a doubt, this stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
And I say, listen, I don't want any any fame from this. I don't want any links put. I like you, man, and I think you're doing a great job. I just want you to put it out there, and if I get more, I can't tell you what I do, but I trust you. Will you put, you put that stuff, you put the first one out. 2 months down the line, I send you another. That one's even better. Then I send you one that's okay. Then I start sending you some other stuff. And then all of a sudden I've gone. I've long gone. But you've now got
Oh, I see.
You have a platform. You're
Yeah.
making shitloads of money off the back of this. And you're noticing that there's a narrative that you're in that game.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of it. What do you do?
What do you do?
Do you stay in that game? Do you stay providing for your family because that's what you do? Or do you say, are you the bigger man and go, you know what, this is bullshit. I got this message back in so and so. This person fucked off when I got and now I think I've been spinning shit to you for all these years.
Yeah.
Is that essentially what third phase is? I don't want to be bashing these guys, but
no, I think they got stuff from the public. Some of the stuff from the public was terrible, and they run a channel off it that I found wildly entertaining. I still to this day, I'm not gonna diss them. I speak to Blake now and again and Brent. I think there's a place for them. I don't think that they've been used. Unless I think Greer's being used. I do. I think Greer fell into that trap, that exact same trap that what I'm speaking about, and Greer's now over on their end. So in so many words, yes, maybe you're right. Maybe third phase are at that point.
Well,
if I was Blake and Brent, I'm getting Stephen Greer on the show. Do I care?
But going back to your original question, Ollie, is with the conscious of them saying, actually, this isn't right. If they're milking it for what it's worth, they're going to run with it until that money runs out. Because this is YouTube we're talking about here. They're going to milk it for what it's worth. If they're making like thousands, I don't know what YouTube money is. I'm clueless to it.
Yeah, me too.
If they're making a decent amount of money so they can support a living, then fuck, they're going to milk it and think, shit, I'll just put videos out there instead of me doing a 9-to-5 job. So
yeah, I quit my day job and I'm getting information from somewhere that I have no idea what this means, but the entire fucking world's speaking about it, and I'm putting it out there, making a living off it. What do I do? Do I all of a sudden go, no, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to go back to being a bus driver.
Unless
it's that moral greed question, it's that moral dilemma. When you get to that point, I don't know. It just depends on.
Nothing wrong with bus drivers. Good, wholesome job.
Yeah, it just depends on what you were doing before. I guess in your overall goal. But dude, a lot of money is it's corrupting. And I think a lot of it also depends on your view of ufology in general. And this is why I say that's very possible with Corbell, what you're saying. And it's very possible that he's continuing because he doesn't really care where the topic goes. Because I still don't think that those guys even believe that. Even George Knapp, I still don't think they believe the truth will come out. It's the same thing with James Fox. I still think these guys know that you can't really call them on it. I mean, even if you're a true believer or ultra skeptic, like I like to say, ultra skeptic, no one really still has the proof that there aren't aliens or there are. So like, how can you really be taken down besides something maybe personal in your life? But as far as your opinion on that, you can't go anywhere, and you definitely can't get called on it. No one can really call Corbell on too much. I mean,
I'll tell you something though. Each and every one of them, if they ever heard that come out of somebody's mouth that I've just said, they know that's true.
You're probably more right than you think.
Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly, and that is probably what it is with Grusch. But he doesn't know. He hasn't. I don't think he knows. But that's the thing with the autism thing. There's a level of trust.
Yeah,
my wife's sister, she's severely autistic. She can't really function normally. When she goes out, she can't work because of it. One of my friends has just got diagnosed with autism. I say just about 5 years ago. He got diagnosed with autism. I had no idea. I just thought there was some things I just thought quite particular on this, but I think these people are picked, and they're picked so strategically, and sometimes they don't even know it. But I do think, like the likes of Corbell, he'll probably realize down the line. He probably just realized now, I was picked, but it is what it is now. I love this subject. That doesn't mean to say he's a bad person. That just means to say he might look at some of the stuff and how he's got it. I mean, look at the whole situation with Grusch on how they met. They met at a Star Trek convention.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with this Jesse Michaels and how they all got hooked up with Grusch. It's the same thing. They come out of nowhere and they have these contacts. I think Michael said, is it an Air Force? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Welcome to the show, Lee. My lad.
I think he said something like an Air Force friend plugged him in. It's like, but I don't know. Like everything in the world seems to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything seems to be like a plug, in those really, really high places, political people, CEOs. I mean, somebody's dad knew somebody, or you always kind of hear that, which is why a lot of these people probably are bad in those positions, and these jobs suck and these companies suck because they're not the right people are getting put there that probably deserve it. But, yeah, it's a hard question, man, but it's kind of what John Lear said years ago, which is, you get UFO disease and they have to continue the story. And whether that's for fame, I mean, fame is a currency, just like anything else. And they want to go to the parties. They want to be seen. They want to, meet up with Grusch and be the first people to sit behind him in Congress. And that stuff is alluring, man. It really, really is. And as human beings, we all can fall into traps like that. I mean, there's only so much I fault people for it. I think it's just how you deal with it after. If you ever get sober of it, if you don't just stay drunk on the fame or stay drunk on whatever money that you're making, if and when you do sober up, how do you handle that? Do you stand up like a man and say, hey, this was wrong, this was not right? Or do you just try to fade off, take the money and run? It's hard, Ali. These are big philosophical questions you're asking. You know what I mean? They're big.
But I do think that especially in this field, that's because I think there's a reason why it's ramping up. I don't know what it is, but a lot of UFO shows are saying this. Some go down the whole skeptical thing. We're never going to get anything ever.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's leading somewhere. And it needs people to believe it that can lead it.
Well, it definitely appears like it's going somewhere more than it ever has. I mean, whether or not it really is, I don't know. I still always think back of Greenstreet's his video that he talked about OSAP and ATIP, where he said, are we really right back to where we started? Are we really not any further? And that was such a big impact on me. And I thought, man, I really don't know any more than I did. And so I think it has the best possible illusion for it. I'm just not sold we're there. But if they can, go ahead.
No. Kind of what you want to say?
No, I was just saying I still think that there's an opportunity for that to happen, for us to get some disclosure here. If we can get a whistleblower, a genuine whistleblower, I don't think it's going to ever come from the government. The Department of Defense is never just going to say, okay, we're just going to tell these people what's going on. I don't think that's the case. I don't even know if the public would even have the ability to shake anything really loose. I think it will have to be a whistleblower, but it's going to have to be someone we've never heard of before, ever, not attached to Lou and Lou's crew and everybody. I think it's possible, and we'll have to see where it goes.
I will say this. This did happen to somebody that we know, and he did pull away from it. Lou.
Yeah. Yeah.
I genuinely believe that's what was happening with his channel.
Yeah, but he's got integrity, man. Lou, I'm not just blowing smoke up his butt. I mean, obviously, I mean, he's showing that. Yeah. He was talking on his show the other day where he was saying, this could have been me. I could have been here when he was watching the latest Yes Theory interview. He was commentating on. He said, I could have been there. And he's right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's right. You can't take that away. Yeah, it takes big balls to pull out like that for sure. Because he got so much flack from that too. I mean, how many people said, "No, you were pushing it, you were in on it," even still, that he when it came up that there was trouble.
I think he knew. I think
Yeah.
at some point he knew. He knew he was in it, and he had a decision to make. And I think there must have been a point when he was riding the train, and he knew he was riding it. And then a few things happened. He probably got spooked. He probably got scared. Let's face it. The people he was dealing with, that if you there was that
he could have had suspicions, Ollie, for sure at some point early, but I don't think until really that interview with Lou and all that stuff kind of came out from behind the scenes with Elizondo. I don't know if it was confirmed to him, anything like that. I just don't think his character would have done that. I think he still would have been maybe just suspicious until then.
So I don't really know what stuff that's been going on with Lou reviews. I know he deleted his channel or privatized it, but I don't know the controversy or what was going on.
His channel's back. But his channel's it was UCR, the unidentified celebrity review.
Yeah.
And there's no other word, he nuked the channel. Yeah. He literally destroyed the entire channel.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And the channel's building back now, but in a different way.
Yeah, I think
that would have been probably one of the biggest UFO channels out there right now if he'd have carried on that train.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, without
a shadow of a doubt. I mean, the guests that he was getting on. I mean, you saw there was he was supposed to get Fugel back on. That didn't happen.
Yeah, Fugel's touchy though. You say anything against him, he's pretty touchy. But he's got a lot of belief wrapped up in it, plus a lot of money. So, those two things together, that's probably going to make you a little bit irritable.
We had a guy, Dave Miller, on who had an altercation with the guys down at that ranch. And yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of drama down there. Forget the UFOs. Just the normal human stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, madness. Maybe. Yeah, they're doing that. That Skinwalker Ranch live thing is going to be like, I don't know, like an hour or so away from me. But I'm like, I'm not giving them any money. I'm not going. I thought about going just for the laughs, but I'm like, no, I don't need to hear Fugel stories. No.
Well, so Ice Cream, because we're hitting the 2-hour mark. I think, like Cambion said, he'll try and make it on tonight. Stephen, if you aren't watching this now, you're a bastard. No, we will rearrange and we will get you on with the guys. Possibly Lou as well. That would probably be interesting if we get like that. The two guys on that I would say are the main people now that are going against all of this. Not that that's a wrong thing at all, but I think it's going to be an interesting conversation, getting other people on, asking the questions, because at the end of the day, as much as I respect both their opinions, and a lot of the time I agree with it, there's no proof to what anybody's saying in this field.
There's not either side. It sucks to say, but yeah.
We just don't trust.
Yeah, even when it comes to even with photographs, video footage, I haven't seen anything else that goes, wow, that's like amazing proof. I haven't seen it yet.
Well, listen, Ali, even though Cambia didn't come on tonight, you're not alone in that. I was supposed to go on there too. I sent him an email a couple months ago and I never heard anything. So he gets busy, man. I'm sure. Yeah, it's not, I don't mean it as like he's being a jerk at all or anything. I just think it's funny. You're not alone.
If it's me in the day, and I've had other shows try to get me on through the middle of the night, and I'm like, I've got work tomorrow. It's great. It's hard to try and come on at like 3 in the morning, and also it's hard to kind of like for me to go on a show in the day because I work. You know, this is a hobby. It's not a living.
Yeah,
it's not living until what I've just talked about you do to us, and I'm in. I'm being serious. I probably am in. Yeah.
Well, Nick, before we go, I mean, what's going on with another episode from you? Are you working on it, or any news? Because
yeah, definitely working on the next episode about Joseph Andres Epp and his involvement with the disc program. So I should be uploading that within the next few days. I'm going to send it off to Stu first to see. And says, "Look, is that all right? I'm not taking the piss out of myself and like that." So yeah, within a few days, I'll upload another video. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to take the video down.
Why?
And Stu's going to. Yeah, me and Stu spoke for about 45 minutes talking about how to improve my video. So he's going to do the kind thing of actually editing it properly. And bloody newbie to this sort of stuff. So
yeah, but you didn't do a horrible job. Like I've seen first edits that are absolutely atrocious. That was still watchable. Like it wasn't, the editing wasn't horrible.
No, it's the thing in the beginning. It was me like saying how shit the video is going to be and all that. I wasn't too sure.
A lot of people will find that endearing.
That's what Stu said. He says, "Look, that's going to put people off," and I was like, "Yeah,
no,
you're right."
Endearing, no, it'd be endearing. A lot of people might actually warm to that.
I don't know.
If it's a series, if it's a series,
say it every show.
I was gonna say, if it's a series and it's the first episode, it's there, and you don't ever do that again, I don't think it really matters. I think it can be endearing, and people can say, "Oh, okay, this is just a guy who has a lot of knowledge, but a lot of knowledge of the topic, maybe not as much in the video side right now, but you can learn that stuff, dude." Most of the channels, it's the content that sucks. Like the editing's great, but like there's no meat on the bone. There's gonna be meat. Once you get that bone structured, you'll do great, man.
And sometimes it's nice to look back and go, holy fuck, how things have changed.
Yeah.
I don't think we should ever if you look back at my first, Jesus Christ. In fact, come on, before we go.
I've got some bad videos from years ago too, I can show you.
Before we go, let me just, and I'm not taking it down, because it's a part of who I am. It's something that I did.
Dude, I've still got my ice cream shots YouTube, because I have two different YouTubes. I have like my
it's
personal
history,
one.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and I used to do video game montages like crazy back in the day. So like my first couple montages were stupid, but the later on ones are cool, and I wouldn't take all that stuff down. I'd leave it.
So for all your you newbies here, love you, but this is is
that a nipple?
That is a nipple. It's a nipple. It's a nipple on Mars.
On Mars.
It's evening here. It might be day where you are. I don't know. Whatever time you're watching this. I'm new to YouTube. I'm always
And
51.
your audio is
And,
terrible.
Are you talking in the kitchen with your mic at the computer?
on Google it for quite a long time, and I've realised that Google Mars is there now.
It sounds that way,
So I
doesn't it?
thought, you know what? I'll have a little look. Oh, this is me, by the way.
What are you're Cortana from Halo. Literally Cortana. Oh my god.
Anyway, so where was that? Yeah, Google Mars. Been looking on Google Mars, and it's really quite rocky.
I can't even fucking watch
Ali,
it.
what year was this?
Let's have a look. 2015.
Okay.
March 2015.
That's still way before a lot of people were doing anything like this, though, man. It's still cool to have like content like this back when people really weren't doing it.
Yeah,
How
I
many
mean,
views
this
you
is
got on that one?
348, but that was on like 3 views for like 3 years or something.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
yeah, you're right, guys. You're right. Yeah, it is like a learning curve, isn't it?
It's history, you know. It's
yeah, it's just not being so hard on yourself too, man. I mean, you're gonna.
I mean,
early
this is
stuff
it.
won't always
Look
be
at
as good as
this
your older
one.
stuff. Yeah.
This is improvement. See, I brought myself on the screen straight away.
Always 5. You know? Yeah,
I don't even know my channel name.
51. A bit like the yeah, you know. Anyway.
The
thing here that's extremely shiny. And I mean extremely shiny. It's like it's like a disco.
But the thing is,
Someone's been having
it does disappear.
Places that
I can remember this one. Same little plot of land.
You spent a lot of time on Google Earth, huh?
Oh, this was my whole thing back in the day. Bit of Google Earth, and yeah, the same bit of land, and that was an interesting one. I think looking back at that now, I think it was a chicken hut or something. You know, the light had just hit it. But yeah, I was looking all over the place for that thing. Anywhere else for that, but I couldn't find it. But yeah, I loved all that stuff back then. Frenchie, my lad. Yeah. My old mic was amazing. I miss it. I might bring it back.
Please don't.
But speaking of terrestrial material,
yeah,
you've got a show tomorrow.
We sure do. Yep, Saturday.
With
tomorrow.
my ex-girlfriend.
Oh God! Don't bring me into this stuff now. Okay, I'm just kidding with you. But yeah, Saturday tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, we are interviewing Rich from GoofOn, so it should be a good time. We got some questions lined up, and obviously we're going to add that one from you. And yeah, it should be a great time. But we do every Saturday.
You'll be able to word that better than me, but you get my drift.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we're a weekly show on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We talk obviously about UFOs at the end of the show, way at the end. If we want to talk about some gaming or MMA, we kind of sprinkle some of that in, but not as of lately. I mean, there's been so much more UFO stuff to talk about, but yeah, Terrestrial Material right here on YouTube. Yep.
I just think you should stick with the UFO stuff, and then at the end bring the game in. Yeah, why not?
Well, yeah, that was the whole plan originally. It wasn't to like, have some shows that just started off gaming, like that'd be massively disorienting. Never was. It was always to just, lean more like 80-85% onto the UFOs. And then if we wanted to have a little bit more fun at the end, do the gaming, the MMA stuff. Yeah. Because I mean, we have more interest in UFOs, believe it or not.
Yeah, I do think, and this is if you had a gaming channel, NFL channel, UFO channel, I think you should pick one.
Yeah.
Because I did that. I said this. I ventured out into games for a bit. I even did some VR stuff, and I'm like, people are here for the aliens and the UFOs and the paranormal and the ghosts and all that jazz. That's your audience
for sure. Yeah.
I think when I think you can then start branching out once you start to realize your audience, because then you can say, listen, this Wednesday we're gonna do a show on Call of fucking Duty. Yeah, if you don't like Call of Duty, fuck off.
Yeah,
Don't
maybe
watch that one.
Maybe I think what you mentioned though, just doing a new channel entirely though and separating it is probably the better idea. But I mean, when I started it, it was all about kind of making a podcast that I would want to listen to, and so it's all about mostly I want to listen to UFOs, aliens, the topic. But at the end, you know, if I'm cleaning my house or something at the time and I got the headphones in, I wouldn't mind 5 or 10 minutes talking about John Jones and then the new Call of Duty, you know, just to end up, cap it off. That wouldn't bother me. So it's kind of the philosophy. I wanted to make what I wanted to hear, you know.
I think that's the main thing with YouTube. I think for anybody that's doing this, because there was a time when I started to do the UFO and alien stuff the way I thought it had to be presented, and I just started to hate doing it, to the point where I just thought, I'm going to quit doing this. I can't be bothered with it anymore. And then I can't remember who said it to me, but they just said, why don't you just do it the way you want to do it? And then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it's not meant to be. So I'm like, yeah, I'll try that. And it's still not worked, but you know what?
I wouldn't say that, man. You got a good channel, in my opinion, bro. I mean, I enjoy watching it, and I think you guys definitely talk to a good amount of people. I mean, you get thousands of views. I mean, try to do that overnight, what you've done. It won't happen. You know, that's something to be proud of, what you guys have done. Nick's on his way. You know, I'm hoping, you know, maybe we get a little something. But I don't know. My philosophy is that at the end of the day, that this whole thing, Ali, is that if it doesn't do anything huge, that's okay. I mean, I hope the channel at least gets me to a point where I can come talk to cool people like you and Rich and Cambion, and hopefully maybe one day, if the stars align, I can talk to Green Street or Greenwald. Yeah, I mean, that would be true success to me. I'm not looking for millions of dollars. It'd be cool to get it, but I doubt it.
If there's something to this subject, out of all the content creators that are out there, you know, you've got the PewDiePies, you've got the I don't know many. I liked PewDiePie back in the day. Still do.
I remember when he had like
before the
1,000
bridge,
views.
right? Before the bridge,
crazy. Yeah,
yeah, the bridge.
The bridge got him.
Yeah, bridge did get him. But all these content creators that are out there that are just making content on games, that's like weird stuff in life, and making memes and this, that, and the other. If we believe in this subject the way we believe in it and think it's going somewhere, this moment in time, these last few years for content creators like us, will be massive. It will be history in years to come. You make the words that you use on your shows. If sometimes, and we are, let's face it, we are guessing a lot of the time. But sometimes we may just go on a whim, and that whim might turn out to be a truth to that. And people might look back at this and say, wow, those guys understood it before we even knew it.
Only time will tell, man. Only time will tell. You know, like I said, it's all speculation, man. You know, it's always good to speculate, you know, but what's the end result? Let me just ask you this one question. Who benefits out of everything? With Grusch and what's been going on, who benefits? Is it the public? Is it Grusch? Is it the government?
David Wilcock.
It's got to be a purpose to it, to this sort of
absolutely.
disclosure. You know what I mean? But Ice Cream, you said a very good point. You know, mentioned a really good word. It's like an illusion we're going to get disclosure that we've been pushed forward, but time will tell, man. Unless we gather that evidence, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a lot of people at this point. And I think Cambion might be the same way, and maybe Lou Angeles is too. That we got our guard up, you know. We do. We've been hurt before, man. I mean, no doubt about it.
Too many times.
Yeah, too many times, and every single time it's supposed to be the next guy, and it's not. We keep the guard up a little bit more.
I tell you what's going to happen within the next month or so. It'll go silent, and then Jeremy Corbell release his footage that has been kept from us, because he's got a load of footage that he's been keeping back. I guarantee it. It's going to go quiet, and then I'll say probably by December, Jeremy Corbell will release his tiny little balls of light or flares. I guarantee it. And then it goes back to the same cycle again of nothing happening, and then a bit of news comes in, a big hype, and it goes back down again. This is going to be the cycle for the next, I reckon, 10 years. Hype, then it goes down.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. But I think when I say the topic might die, I don't mean it as no one will look at this at all anymore, either side. I think that the skeptic side will just leave. And that's when it's a problem. And that's when I think the topic truly dies. Because I mean, if you have just nothing but true believers the entire time, you can't cipher through the bullshit to understand what's real. When Green Street decides, hey, I'm done with this, I'm putting my hands up, I'm gonna go do something else, that's a big hit. If Greenwald was to put his hands up and say, I'm done with this, that's a huge hit. Now, I don't know if Greenwald would ever do that. I think if any skeptic stays the longest, it's probably him. But when you get Mick West and he says, I'm out, or if you get Goofon says, I'm out, or Cambion, you guys, Evangelist, name the list. If these people start saying we're out, how is there a topic if it's just one-sided? You'll have a few people and then that'll be that. And I don't know what you do with the whole thing at that point.
Because you're just going to get UFO Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on UFO Twitter for the past 2 weeks, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? It's to help boost the channel.
On
and I'm going
Twitter now.
Oh man, literally, I'm going through it.
No,
I'm
come back.
I don't know. I avoid social media, man, but it's just like the shit on there. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it's just garbage on there. When it could, like UFO Twitter specifically, it's just fake shit, and it's stuff I've seen before. CGI, balls of light. List goes on.
Yeah, it's the greatest Adobe suite advertisement of all time. I said. Like Adobe should just take full responsibility and say, this is what you can do with our product right at the top, and they sell and sell and sell. But I mean, there's probably some videos that come out that are real, but it's so saturated right now. Like, how can you really know? And we haven't even injected AI into this at all. I mean, when the AI videos start coming out at full tilt, I don't know how they're going to get anywhere with parsing through that. It's just, I don't know. That's why I kind of wonder, maybe if the government was going to disclose, if the Pentagon was actually going to be behind it, now would probably be the time to get together with NASA and start showing us some real shit before AI makes it impossible to do that anymore. I don't know. AI's a scary thing the more I look at it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's going to be a show. We're going to do that.
But you have to get footage, Ollie, though. You have to, once that footage comes out of holy shit, this is amazing AI footage, get on the show, because it's going to be mind blowing.
You bet your boots.
Yeah.
Boys, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Awesome.
And guys, the links are in the description. I think a couple of the links aren't working. I'm going to correct them after the show, so they will be working.
It's just mine, Ollie. It's just mine.
Oh, is it just yours? Just yours.
Yeah.
If you just type in the Cosmic Twilight people, and that link will work. I know what's happened with that link. It's because it's been pasted in from Windows and not my Mac. It's the Windows thing that I use on this. It's just fucking a disaster. But yeah, I will fix that link. But if you paste that link into YouTube, you'll go to the channel anyway. But folks, you guys have been fucking awesome. I need to stop swearing. Maybe I'll get monetized one day. It's just the way the channel is. If you want to become a Patreon member, you kindly can. We are going to launch a Discord at some point very soon. We're just working out the different. We want to have different platforms on Discord, so people can talk about the subjects that they're interested in, move out of different fucking rooms. But I don't understand Discord yet. I need to kind of get into that. Members, you can become a channel member. That will also get you access to it. And if you want to just, actually get something for your money that you can keep you warm, Get yourself a t-shirt. That don't keep you warm, does it? A hoodie. All hand drawn by yours truly. There you go. Boom. Good night, God bless. Mine, the bugs don't bite. This is Alien Addict, and you've been bloody lovely. Where's that intro? There it is.
It's so weird when like this UFO disclosure thing comes out. And David Grusch, let's find out who he is and what his credentials were. But he essentially said that they are illegally hiding it from Congress, and they are illegally hiding it from the American people, but they have off-world craft in possession. Air Force veteran has made a bombshell claim that U.S. government has recovered materials that could be proof of UFOs, including an intact craft of non-human origin, but they are keeping it a secret from the public. David Charles Grusch, a veteran and former member of the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and National Reconnaissance Office, has blown the whistle on this information, speaking with several news outlets about the crafts.
A lot of people have been urging the U.S. to drop the charges against Julian Assange, and recently even the Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, said there is no point in this continued prosecution. So why hasn't the U.S. dropped these charges?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Literally every major press freedom and civil liberties group in the West, often which agree on very little, have united to urge the Biden administration to do so on the grounds it's the gravest threat to press freedom in the West. The history of the U.S. security state, the CIA and the NSA and Homeland Security is very much that if somebody exposes their secrets, even when those secrets are evidence of crimes or other deceit and corruption, as was the case here, they want to punish the person to the fullest extent, to really destroy them, mostly as an example to warn others that if they discover evidence of criminality and are thinking about doing the same thing, their lives will also be destroyed.
You know you want one of those t-shirts, people. Go head on over.